If your student status has been terminated and you're planning on filing a temporary restraining order, or you have already filed a temporary restraining order, here's everything that comes next. First, once you file the temporary restraining order, the judge usually grants it within 2 weeks. Now, you file it, you serve it, the judge reads it, reviews it, and generally the government doesn't actually respond because there's too many of these cases going around, and it is on the burden of the petitioner to say, this thing is going to harm me so bad that I need to have my status back right now. It will be an irreparable harm. And I will likely win on the merits of this case. And it's good public policy. And the equity I'm seeking is just to revert back to the status. So it's pretty simple and straightforward argument. And in this case, seeing the hundreds, if not thousands of cases being filed across the country, there's a highly good chance that your TRO, temporary restraining order, should be approved, especially if you choose a good district, right? For example, the 9th district. Now, after the TR has been granted, usually within 2 months, there's going to be a hearing on the preliminary injunction, which is, again, now going through the merits of that TRO case. Because initially you're just making this argument. The judge sees, okay, most likely you're correct. We'll give it to you temporarily, but now let's really go through the causes of action. Let's go through your arguments. Let's go through what the government says in response on why they're doing it. And that's the preliminary injunction hearing. After the preliminary injunction, which is again going through the core of these arguments, then it goes to trial. It goes through discovery. There might be a motion to dismiss. It might go on to a full-on trial with immigration court against the government. There's a couple outcomes that we are predicting right here, right now. One outcome is the government saying, okay, we are willing to return this individual students or these groups of individual students who sued us back to their student status. And so it's moot, meaning you can't sue us anymore because they all have status now. We won't terminate their status based on this issue. And so the case is closed. This happened a lot in mandamus and APA actions because to the government, maybe their strategy was, we're just going to terminate everyone, and the people who really have a sympathetic reason, they will come and sue us, and then we'll just, revert those people back, but we still got to terminate everybody else. So it's an easy way to throw everything away. So that is one possibility. Another possibility is that there's different circuit courts. Some people approve it, some circuits deny it, and now the government appeals it to the Supreme Court. And their argument will be, we have the right to terminate these student statuses without due process, without notice, because that is a foreign policy. We don't have to grant people's visas, consulates overseas. We have that non-reviewability in the United States as well. That's a potential Supreme Court argument by the US government later on, if it does end up going to trial. So they will essentially say, we don't have to do discovery. We don't have to provide any documents as to how we determine which students to cancel and which students to not cancel, because it is our prerogative. We could do that. We have the authority, we have the right, and then we have to see what the Supreme Court decides. But those are the two outcomes following a successful preliminary injunction. Now, if you're in a different circuit, right, you couldn't choose a good circuit that's more favorable and your case has been denied, same thing, you could still appeal it because other circuits have been successful in this temporary restraining order and later on the preliminary injunction. So you can also appeal it all the way up to the Supreme Court. The only downside is that you're technically illegal here during that process. And again, government can just send ICE and deport you. So you should probably have a good backup plan. Now, again, this is not legal advice. Every place is different. You should probably really consider your circumstance. But it's definitely better if you were in a favorable state and you filed a TRO and you want it, you filed a preliminary injunction and you want it, and let the government appeal that up to the Supreme Court, which will probably take until next year to review, right? I don't foresee them reviewing it this year, but we'll see, right? I mean, the court process is typically very slow, and who knows, by then, maybe you've already adjusted status, you already got a green card through some other methods, right? At least you finished schooling, for God's sake, right? So that's the steps, temporary restraining order, the preliminary injunction, and then the trial with the discovery, again, depending on what the government ends up doing, if they appeal it, then eventually goes up to Supreme Court. There's not much you, as the victim, need to do, actually, right? Because you say, I was a good student, I did everything I was supposed to do, I'm studying, and suddenly I get this notification that my status was terminated. My rights have been violated. This was not the America I signed up for. This was not the visa that I applied for. If this was not the government, if this was a commercial enterprise, this is fraud, right? You literally deceived me into coming into your country, studying, paying all this tuition, and now you just cancel me willy-nilly right before I graduated. That is wrong. That is malicious. That is negligent. America, you are better. Please be better, right? So that is essentially the argument. So there's actually nothing you really need to do. Just don't get in trouble, right? Don't get a DUI. Don't get arrested for some other things. Because again, the government can deport you on all those other reasons too, right? But as long as you're the student, you're doing good, now you're just letting the court system play it out. This has been forced upon you. I get it, right? You didn't ask for this. You're doing what you're supposed to do. And suddenly, this administration chose to do this type of cleansing, denying a bunch of people from getting visas overseas, and then people who have already have visas, canceling it as well. So I know it's extremely confusing. The federal litigation is long. There's nothing you need to do other than the 4 things that I already mentioned I guess in the previous video, right? Have your good argument ready for the TRO, improve upon that argument for the preliminary and permanent and for the trial, showing that it's a bad look for the US government to be canceling these visas. And then choosing a good venue, and then have patience while the government and the American public figures out exactly what's going on and what they should do. But if you want to protect yourself, that is exactly what you should do. Okay, hopefully that was helpful for you. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. We are doing this low bono thing for all the international students who have suffered this. It's so unjust, but we're here for you. Okay, take care.